up your pants, my man.
Touchdown!
Is this the dagger?
And Fernando Tatis Jr., a grand slam!
Iguodala. It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. Like,
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
Welcome to From the Backseat, hosted by Clark and Ethan.
it's funny.
Hello and welcome to From the Backseat on Monday, January 22nd, following the NFL divisional round. I'm your host, Ethan, and I am joined today by my co-host.
What up, guys? Clark, as always, here again. Another AFC divisional round in which Patrick Mahomes survives, this time on the road. Irritating Americans everywhere for some reason also was Taylor Swift in attendance. People still upset by that. Not sure why. But a lot of great football played this weekend. A lot to get into. Super stoked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start with Mahomes and the Buffalo Bills, which was probably
Yeah, might as well. I feel like that's the game that got the most attention.
That's the marquee. And I mean, there's a lot of storylines, but is there any better storyline than Mahomes survives and is now 8-2 against quarterbacks in the playoffs, not named Tom Brady?
Yeah, I mean, it seems as right now in the playoffs, there's only two guys that have any track record of beating Mahomes. One guy is currently at home injured. The other guy, as you just mentioned, Tom Brady, is retired. So Mahomes is certainly climbing higher and higher up the ladder of, I don't know what would be the right word for it, but the legacy ladder, if you wanted to call it. I mean, he's matched the most playoff wins, I think, in the first 7 years in NFL career. He passed Brady. It seems like he can sort of do no wrong. And I feel like it's, maybe this is just me, but if you're Buffalo, you have to feel like this was your best shot at Mahomes in Kansas City that you've had. You were at home. All the other ones were on the road. You really felt like had him kind of on the ropes in the first half. And then second half was just a totally different story, it felt like. I don't know. Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense made a lot of adjustments that I think deserve credit. But I think there were some things with the Bills that showed up. I think not having a true number two obviously kind of hurt them. You have Sherfield dropping that deep ball. Diggs drops that one deep ball. I think for Buffalo, it's disappointing. I know it's a year maybe that, they had to battle back from a lot, certainly, but it has to feel like it's another rather bitter end when it felt you had sort of everything that you could going in your favor into this game and it didn't quite work out. They weren't as healthy as they could possibly be. I know there's a lot of injuries at linebacker, but I don't know. It's a tough one to swallow if you're Buffalo, I think.
I totally agree. I mean, the biggest takeaway is just Josh Allen played great up until basically the final drive. And they still weren't even able to pull it out. It almost took Josh Allen's perfection. And to tell you the truth, I think a player who deserves a lot of criticism is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was mostly not present in the game. And then when he could have basically made the play to win the game, dude just drops it cold and then throws up you missed it by a little bit, which is crazy because it hit him in like right over the shoulder in the hands.
I agree. I think Diggs was certainly underwhelming in this game without a doubt. And I like Stephon Diggs a lot. But when you need your biggest receiver to make a play, and again, I know I'm comparing it with my Bengals, but last year, what was it, 4th and 7? We lost this game against Kansas City, but we needed a catch, and Joe just threw one up to Jamar, and he goes up in double coverage and brings it down. I don't know if I've seen Diggs do that in a playoff game of that large of a scale in his career. Well, he had the big one in the Minnesota Miracle. I shouldn't take that away from him, but you got to come down with that ball as the bottom line. I think, to go like this, as you pointed out, Josh hit him in the hands. It could not have been it was basically dropped in the bucket from 65 yards.
Yeah, it was a crazy throw.
It was a cannon. You got to come up with that. I think maybe my big takeaway, I think me and Cole texted this to you because you had some question about Josh Allen maybe missing someone on that last drive, which that did happen. But if you're Buffalo, I feel like you have to sort of question more of the head coach in my mind. Has McDermott plateaued where he can reach for you? And I feel like, to me, maybe it's an overreaction sort of Monday consequence, but I feel like he kind of has. I think you've seen the best of where Sean McDermott can get you. I mean, you could sit there and say, oh, they can re-up here, they could re-up there, they could get the number 2, they could get a couple playmakers in the secondary. But the reality in my mind is that the roster, I think, is, when healthy, good enough to be a Super Bowl team. I feel like the head coach might be the thing that needs to change, because you make the change at OC, you bring in Joe Barry. The offense looks great the last half of the season. I just don't know if McDermott's the guy that takes them there at the end,
You said Joe Barry, which is the defensive coordinator of the
Oh,
Packers.
sorry. Joe Brady. Joe Brady.
Yeah.
My bad. Joe
No,
Brady.
you're okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's McDermott. I think there's a lot to go around in this game, and it just ultimately, and this is just my opinion, at some point this Bill team just wasn't as good as it was. It got really hot at
No.
the end,
Mhm.
and they were scraping off wins against bad teams. I mean, their last 3 games to get into the playoffs, they played the Chargers with each and stick, who had come off of a 63 to whatever loss that had just fired Brandon Staley. Then they went and played the Jets. And I mean, the Jets at the end of the season were basically nothing.
Yes.
And then at the end of the game, at the end of the year, they played that Dolphins team, which had like everyone injured and just about nothing on it.
I agree. I think Buffalo, as you pointed out, did get really hot. And I think it's why it gave a lot of people confidence going into it. And I think it was justifiable, because I think, again, as we talked about, part of winning the playoffs and part of having success in the playoffs is peaking towards the end of the season at the right time, so you can continue to ride that wave in. But yeah, I think overall we've kind of just laid the sentiment out. I think for Buffalo, it's a big disappointment. For Kansas City, you're thrilled though. I mean, that was a really well played game. Obviously, this is the weakest Chiefs team there's been with Mahomes, I would say, his entire career. But I think to an extent, people forgot that Patrick Mahomes is still on this team, and Travis Kelce, while not maybe as good as he once was, is still on this team. And that right there is kind of enough to make you go. And then Pacheco ran the ball really well in the second half, I thought. And obviously, this is the best Chiefs defense Mahomes has had, and they stepped up in the second half too, made some key plays. So yeah, I think if you're a Kansas City fan, you're thrilled. I don't think that they can beat Baltimore, at least not in my mind, especially after the way Baltimore played in the second half against Houston. We'll get to that in a minute, but great game from Mahomes. It's annoying to watch as someone. I know my team is a great quarterback, but again, it's annoying to watch the same thing every year. And it feels like you have to do everything right to get this guy if you want to get him out, if you want to have that knockout punch. Because again, Josh Allen played perfect. I don't think there's anything more that you could have asked Josh Allen to do. He did everything in that game to put the Bills in a position to win. And it wasn't good enough, just as you said.
I mostly agree with you, but I mean, his last 2 plays of the NFL season were horrendous. I mean, look.
Yes, they were, but
situationally, knowing where no, but when you are in that kind of do or die situation of, your kicker's a little shaky, to try to just play hero ball at the very end and score right there. He had easy checkdowns both plays that he could have just taken pretty much right in front of him. And so it's hard not to be, because this is the issue we were talking about Josh Allen pretty much all year. In the last 2 plays of his perfect game, he kind of reverted back to what we had criticized about him all season long. And I'm not saying it takes away from his performance, but on like some level, he couldn't escape
on
the
some level.
tendency.
I mean, of course, I think any game that you play, you can make boneheaded mistakes. Does it glare a little bit more because it was in the final couple plays of the game? Certainly. But I think if you're going down the list of the reasons why the Bills lost that game, Josh Allen would be extremely low on that list.
Oh, I tend to agree. I'm just more of my point about Josh Allen, and I think this is totally fair. Yes, dude's getting to the playoffs. Dude is playing in the playoffs. Dude has won playoff games. But man, he cannot get the monkey off his back of any of the elite AFC teams. When it comes into playing the Chiefs, the Bengals, any of these elite NFL teams, they just lose. I mean, I think in the last playoffs, in round 2, they've gone like 0-5.
Hold on a sec. My mic fell
That's
out.
okay. I can talk for a little bit.
Yeah. There's point where, yeah, I think you do have to. Josh isn't perfect. Again, I thought he played really well last night. Again, I still hold up to the fact I think he played pretty close to perfect, but I mean, he hasn't beaten Burrow yet. He's beaten Mahomes, but
Not in the playoffs.
playoffs when it really counts. I don't know. I don't know where Buffalo needs to go from here. I'm more of the opinion of McDermott might need to be the change. I think, again, you've plateaued with what he can do with this franchise, but that's just me.
I guess the question is, if you get rid of McDermott at this point, how many options are really out there for you to go get? A lot of these head coaching, like prime candidates,
Are
the
sort
only
of
one that would
gone.
make-
Yeah.
The only one that's available that I think you could actually make a splash at is Mike Vrabel. I think
you could
Vrabel is
too.
still Vrabel
Yeah.
is still out there. He seems like the number 2 option for a lot of these teams,
Yes.
as he's the fallback if they don't get their number 1. But it seems like all the pieces are kind of lining up where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Chargers fan, I'll just talk on it. Tomorrow seems like it's going to be a very exciting day.
I would agree. Hopefully it happens. It'd be a
For
shame if it
crazy Twitter stalkers, if you're on Twitter, currently Chargers fans are stalking the Chargers team plane, and it did just pick up Harbaugh from Detroit and is currently in the air, coming to LA for his meeting tomorrow. And sources, random source, is saying that his wife is also coming for some reason.
Maybe she just wants to go with. What else is she supposed to do? Not go
Yeah.
back to. I mean, why would you want to go back to Ann Arbor right now? It's cold.
It is cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about the biggest story of the Chiefs Bills, which is Jason Kelce.
Yeah, that was great.
Is anyone, like, honestly, is anyone in the NFL more on top of the world than Jason and Travis Kelce right now?
Probably not. I not at all. I don't think. I mean, Travis is obviously dating the most
Taylor.
famous woman in the world, the most successful one in the world,
Probably
biggest
up there.
music artist in the world. Seems pretty fun. Can't imagine it's a Debbie Downer of a lifestyle. And yeah, Jason Kelce just having a good time, kind of just being a big kid at a football game, going out there shirtless, slamming beers. It was sort of an crazy look in that box because obviously you have Taylor Swift right there. And then you have Jason Kelce shirtless in Reebok gray pants, hammering Bud Lights back into his gut. And I thought it was hilarious. I mean, again, people get mad about it. But I thought it's been fun all year. That's where I kind of stand on it. And I thought it was fun last night. Why not?
I
He was
thought
out
it
there
was fun
taking
too.
shots at a bowling balls. Why not? You're retired at this point. Do what you want.
I thought it was really fun. The best part was when he got out of the box and went into the stands. Like that was great.
Like I think you went and picked up a like someone's daughter and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go take her to say hi to Taylor real quick." That's
Yeah,
fun.
like it was a lot of fun. Like I give Jason a lot of credit, and I think Jason knows where he's sitting and like how in the spotlight they are. I mean, the New Heights podcast is just crazy.
No, it's the biggest thing. I'm still waiting for the New Heights to actually have Taylor on. They got to do that at some point, right?
I assume so, but that might be like an off-season thing. I don't
Oh,
actually
definitely an
know-
off-season thing. Not right now, but I'm just saying at some point they're gonna have to bring Taylor on.
Do they do it during the off-season? I've never really.
Yeah, they do.
like-
They have. It's more laid back, certainly, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they do it in the off-season.
I saw some clip today of them ranking fast food sandwiches.
I don't know. I just think to your point though, yeah, if you're a member of the Kelce family, you're having a great time right now. I mean, Travis is, I don't know, his net worth's gone up millions of dollars because he's with Taylor and he's playing great football in the playoffs when it matters again. And you have your brother getting hammered in the stands, having a good time in Buffalo. And I don't know, Jason Kelce seems like the most likable person out there right now. Everything I see with him, I'm like, this dude just seems really cool. Like, why wouldn't I want to
totally
hang out with
agree.
Jason Kelce? I don't know. Even me, I'm just like, all right, this guy's sweet. Awesome. Probably like,
Yeah,
just gonna be
man's
a
on
great
top
dad,
of the
too.
world.
Yeah, why not?
Man's just on top of the world, and he deserves all the credit in the world for what he's doing.
Yeah, here's a quick thought though. I mean, I'd have to look more at the Eagles franchise history, but he value-wise, is he the greatest draft pick in Eagles history? 6th rounder, all pro, multiple times, gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Um,
I'm sure there's probably someone else out there that would
I
point
have
out,
to assume,
like maybe a
I
Reggie
mean,
White. Or
when was Brian Dawkins picked?
Nah, Brian Dawkins is not as good as Jason Kelce.
I don't know about that. Brian Dawkins is very, very good.
Brian Dawkins was really good, but he was not as good. No, we're talking about. I don't think Brian Dawkins was a 6th rounder too. By the way,
I mean, you're just talking for value.
yeah, 6th rounder, multiple time All Pro, Hall of Famer.
Oh no, that one's easy. It's Jalen Reagor.
Oh, you're right. Jalen Reagor was great. They nailed that one. Attaboy, Howie.
So, just because of this transition, Clark and I are launching a new segment.
Oh, we are. I can't wait.
We're calling it In Twitter News, where we'll take a break. We'll come back to the NFL playoffs, but just because of this one kind of lines up perfectly with a tweet I found. So this is called In Twitter News, where basically what I was doing on TikTok before, and who knows, maybe I'll end up making videos about these. I'm going to show Clark some tweets that I have found of just ridiculous people setups. So I'm going to put us into share screen in a second so Clark can see these when I add my screen. Okay.
I can't say anything yet.
Yeah,
oh, here we go.
It's not up.
Now
can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
So this comes from R. Rad Ryan. And so tweet is currently obsessed with reading the subreddit, Taylor Swift's game thread versus the Chiefs versus the Bills. Before we get into it, and I open these up, Clark, did you know that the Taylor Swift subreddit was having a watch party of the game last night?
No, I did not know that there was a Taylor Swift fan subreddit watching of the game, but so they're asking questions here. I know that they were obviously I'm on Twitter, so I see that they, sometimes ask different things when they're on there, but this is new.
All right, so these are comments that were left in the game thread.
Oh,
so
this is regarding the fumble in the end zone?
Yeah, insane rule, totally fine. We'll just make another stop.
Sort of a base take, insane rule. I like that.
I'm so lost.
Okay, so I'll say this. This right here should prove enough to the NFL how dumb of a rule the fumble thing is. Yeah. Because if people who never even hardly watch the sport until this year find it moronic, then maybe there should be cause to change.
And then this is the best one. What is a touchback?
That's a great question. A lot of people are asking that.
Yeah, I mean the rule is crazy. I honestly
Swifties made that very clear.
I mean, in the Taylor Swift subreddit, very much pointed out to the NFL.
They hated it. How they didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, when the NFL subreddit speaks on this kind of thing, you just got to do it.
You have to listen. Take note, Goodell. This is your people
take
here.
Note. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next one, which is actually a video. So let me make sure you can see this. So can you see good old Darren Waller? Hey, you're muted. I still can't hear you.
Yeah, I can see
now. All right. Let me restart the video.
Is it what you wanna do? Oh, do, oh.
Check this out. Is it what you wanna do? Oh, do, oh. What you wanna do? Oh, do, oh. Is it what you...
What the hell is that? Wait, so is he like divorce? Him and Kelsey Plum getting a divorce?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. What is that?
I don't know. And I
also
posted it on TikTok.
I think just in general, like, all right, if you want to do TikTok dances, I guess it's cool, but you're like 30 and this is weird. And if you're talking about your own relationship, it's sort of sad.
Yeah, and the way that you're like coping with it is posting it on. I mean, the thing is, he's also like a millionaire. Like, he can't think of anything better to do with his time.
Well, I agree, and it I don't know. Now I have to scour the internet. I mean, Kelsey Plum, I should say. Ugh. Kelsey Plum, La Jolla Country Day alum, San Diego person. this is weird. I don't get this at all. This is sort of, again, pathetic. Not pathetic, but just weird. It's weird. He's a grown man doing this, and that's sad.
Would you like to see it again?
No, I don't. I'm good seeing it one time in my life. That was weird. And like, why do a dance routine? Oh, when your girl about to leave you, laughing emoji. Get a grip,
Yeah.
dude. Golly.
Yeah, I saw that and laughed pretty hard. So our next one comes from Chargers Twitter. So this
Great
was
play.
last week. So we've completed an interview with Jim Harbaugh for a head coaching job. So Chargers fan takes it upon himself to comment, did you show him the new facility? Did he talk to Herbert? Did you tell him about the 5th overall pick? Did you tell him about LA market in the billboards? Or did you drop the ball and didn't do any of that?
It's a fair question at the end, considering the Spanos is on the team. They could have been like, it's kind of cool here. We're not going to show you anything, though.
We're not going to talk about the Chargers whatsoever.
Did he talk to Herbert? That's a good question, too. I wonder if he did. Do you think Herbert or Justin was there for the first interview? Probably not.
I
Definitely
doubt it.
No.
I
He probably
doubt
didn't get a
it.
chance to talk to him.
I mean, the one that like really made me laugh is the 4th one. Did you talk to him about the LA market and the billboards?
No one cares about the team in LA.
Also, the
Anyway.
billboards. What are you supposed to talk about? Yeah, there's billboards in the
Yeah, we
city of
got
LA. Hey, you muted yourself again.
Oh, so annoying, dude. Ugh.
Yeah. No, but the billboards one just like makes me laugh. That you're just sitting there, just like, oh yeah, gotta crank out those billboards, and that's what's gonna
make sure
sell
you have
Jim
them up
Harbaugh.
in case. I mean, again, billboards, who even uses billboards hardly anymore? I guess they're still in existence, but that's a rather outdated way of advertising or letting people know something.
Yeah, I mean, did you tell him about the 5th overall pick?
Did you tell him about? No, he didn't know about that. That's news to him. This is all very new. Didn't know about it.
I had no idea.
This is, God, I don't know. Jim's gonna be a cornball though. I don't know. Jim's a great coach. I think he's a huge cornball though, so he might like billboards.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's so like strange.
Like, I hate that dumb saying, like, who's got it better than us? No, like, shut up. I don't.
I mean, I agree. Jim Harbaugh's like a fantastic coach, but like such a weird guy.
Jim and John, they're both weird.
And
they keep bringing their dad in their locker room to do like post game. Like, I don't want to see Jack Harbaugh, old as hell, walk into my locker room after the biggest game I just played. Get that geezer out of here, dude. He comes in and he just yells, and I don't get it. And all the players are, I think, get excited because they know it's all right, Coach Harbaugh's dad, but it's also like, okay, who's this old ass man that just walked in and is just yelling now at us?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
All right, I'm going to show you our next one. It actually has to do with the Bills game. So this comes from Dolphins Twitter.
All right.
So I'll read the comment and I'll show you the video. Every Dolphins fan driving home from the bar last night, realizing the Bills are $43 million over the cap. Josh Allen's cap hit is $47 million next year. They have 20 free agents they cannot afford. Von Miller is washed and Diggs wants out.
Okay, I've seen this video, so I get the gist of what's going to happen here.
Okay, then I'm gonna play it.
Here's my thing, Dolphins fans. Like, why are you talking? Your team sucks. Your quarterbacks. Now, your team doesn't suck. Your quarterback sucks. You haven't won a single. You have the longest playoff drought, I believe, in the NFL now.
They do.
So why are they speaking on any matter? Win something of importance first. They're completely irrelevant.
That's what I think. Like, just to like go and like after the Bills when you haven't done anything.
Yeah, sick. Like
at least the Bills won a game.
Exactly. I mean, the Bills won a game. You guys got embarrassed again.
The crazy thing is they were also up like 3 games in the division, like 5 weeks out, and they somehow fumbled the bag. Your mic pulled. Yeah. Dolphins fans are just crazy for going after the Bills and like trying to take a clown show on it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, good. Golly, I don't know why he's popping out.
It's okay.
What's new? Completely the same thing that they always do, which is just act a fool, even though their franchise is impoverished and a joke.
I'm going to show you one more. This will be this one I just find funny. You know, NFL memes usually doesn't post anything good, and they're usually like,
No, it's always terrible. They probably
super
stole whatever you're
informative.
about to show too.
Oh, they definitely did, but they didn't credit anyone.
Of
So
course,
I
why
don't
would
know how
they
to
credit
do it.
anyone?
I find the Impractical Jokers thing, the Impractical Jokers meme, very
Yeah.
funny. So this one got me. Okay, now run a fake punt in your own 30-yard line with DeMar Hamlin.
Okay, I will say this was now that DeMar Hamlin's okay.
Yes.
Like, he's totally fine. Like, what did they think? This is some sort of like Disney Channel movie that they're just gonna run it
those
with
are like
DeMar.
all the.
I'm like, give me a break, dude. Like, if you're gonna go for it, go for it. Don't have DeMar Hamlin run it. If it would have worked out, I've been like, sweet. Oh my god, what a comeback! But this isn't like, again, this is not a Hallmark film. This isn't a Disney Channel film, and it wasn't even close too. Like, Kansas City sniffed that out so quick. I think they got about 2 yards.
I mean, if you're gonna go for it on fourth, keep your generational quarterback on the field. Why are you doing it with DeMar Hamlin? Dude's a safety.
No, it makes no sense. But again, that was Sean McDermott's call or something like that. I don't know why you do it. Again, it's not some sort of theatrical ending like, oh, and then they handed it to DeMar and
they handed it to DeMar. Yeah, I mean, crazy. So, Clark, in Twitter news, which of these was your favorite tweet?
I don't know. What's about to be my favorite tweet is when I break this microphone over my head.
Oh, wow.
So, no, but I don't know. I have no thoughts. I'm just pissed at my mic right now because now I'm using the freaking mic in my freaking computer, and it's annoying as hell.
So that's in Twitter news. Those were all the tweets I found for this week. Those were all the things. Next week, maybe I'll just open up the game thread from the Taylor Swift subreddit when they do their watch party of the Ravens Chiefs, and I'll look through some of the stuff that they're saying.
that could work well.
Just do a review of the subreddit.
I mean, I think
Taylor
we're going to
Swift.
need a Taylor Swift football year in review, or just in general at some point.
Yeah, just like all the stuff that happened.
Like all the great things that she brought the game.
The greatest thing she brought the game was that Kyle Juszczyk puffer jacket.
Yeah, the fit was crazy. That was a crazy fit. That was elite fit. Everyone needs
That
to
was
recognize
elite.
that outfit.
That good thing is great.
I would like one. But yeah, no, I mean, we have to be honest. Probably my favorite one of those groups. So if we're going to go back to it, probably the Dolphins one, because I hate Dolphins fans, and I think it's enjoyable whenever they have something stupid and they unintentionally dunk on themselves because everyone just goes after them. They're a stupid group, so they shouldn't talk about anything.
I agree. I mean, Dolphins fans sitting there trying to like clown on the Bills is like so laughable when they just took the division from you like literally like 3 weeks ago.
It's like trying to make fun of someone who just like pissed themselves after you shit yourself. Like, it's just embarrassing. There's no need.
The crazy thing is, even if like Dolphins fans wanted to be like, "Oh, we lost to like last year's Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs," the Bills did too. Like, you literally have no
Who
argument.
cares? Again, the Dolphins are an irrelevant franchise. They're not. No one cares about them. Like, I think no one had any faith that they could go in there, even with the Tyreek, and win that game, and they didn't. So they'll never win anything with Tua. So, but everyone knows that now.
Yeah, and they can't really get a quarterback to rectify
No,
the
they
situation.
can't. They'll probably give him an extension. That'll be really cool.
That'll be really cool.
Can't wait for
All
that.
right, let's talk about some of these other games. So we talked extensively about Chiefs
Yeah.
Bills. Let's start back, and let's start with their AFC matchup next week, which is Ravens Houston.
I was a little bit worried after the first half of that game, especially after the Sims punt return, that maybe the Ravens would do it again in the playoffs and kind of screw it up. Fortunately, they have a new offensive coordinator, obviously. Schemed it way better in the second half, made adjustments. Defense played great in the second half, completely shut down CJ Stroud.
Yes, the defense did shut down CJ Stroud. Mike McDonald deserves all of the flowers. I mean, a lot of people see they scored 10, which really isn't even 10 because 7 of it came on a punt return.
Yeah. So I
Mike-
think just if you're the Ravens, you have to feel great about going into the next week. I think they showed why they're the number 1 seed. Lamar already was the MVP, but is playing in my mind right now, even how Patrick played great the other day. He's been so great down the stretch, and he looks great, and their weapons are well-rounded, and they have a good running game. And I think the biggest difference, I just think, will be the defense. I truly think the Baltimore defense is just suffocating this season.
I agree.
I think they not only like Kansas City's defense is good, but when I watch Baltimore's defense, it's not ever going to be, like the 0-1 or 0-2 Ravens. That's possibly the greatest defense ever, but they hit so damn hard like that team. And you see hits they give out, and it's like, I don't know how you get back up. They have a lot of dudes just like that, and they fly to the ball. The secondary is aggressive, a lot of rotational pass rushers. And then you have the two guys in Roquan Swift and Patrick Queen holding it down in the middle. I don't know how Kansas City counteracts that, especially because they don't have that many weapons. And the Ravens defense is sort of designed just to, like I said, constrict what you want to do, and they do it extremely well.
I mean, and the biggest thing is what the Chiefs were kind of feasting on, where they were getting chunk plays in the middle of the field, which the Ravens just don't allow.
Don't give up.
They just don't give up that stuff. You either have to go all the way over the top, which I don't think Kansas City's weapons can burn.
They can't
Kyle
do it
Hamilton
this year. I
and the
mean,
rest.
MVS is not going to do well against a guy like Humphrey or Geno Stone going over the top. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I have a really hard time. I mean, right now the Ravens are only favored by 3, but I
would take the Ravens in that.
I have a really hard time believing Kansas City can beat Baltimore.
Well, I agree. I just think, again, Baltimore has been the best team in the league for a good chunk of time now. I think they're better than San Francisco.
I think so too.
And again, I just look at the defense. I look what the offense has shown it can do in multiple phases. I don't think they win it handily, but I think it's probably, a touchdown game. I think they ended up winning it by a touchdown at home. Plus, M&T Bank Stadium, underrated, I think, very difficult place to play.
Yeah, it was so loud for Stroud.
Yes. So as a team, when Cincinnati has to go in there once a year, I never love it. We've had success there, but I never love it.
No, they're a good team. I mean, it'll be interesting because, I mean, the other thing that the Ravens get back is Mark Andrews is going to be back.
Yeah, and they have 2 unbelievable tight, because I think Isaiah Likely's playing right now as if he's a top 10 tight end.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely's playing incredibly well, and they get they could have Mark Andrews on a snap count and just play him on 3rd down in the red zone.
Exactly, and that's more than enough. I mean, that's all you can ask for out of him at this point.
And they're going to expect basically, I mean, the Chiefs have good linebackers, but it's going to be hard all day when you have 2 tight ends who you can literally, and then if it doesn't work, Lamar can always just run the ball.
Yeah. And again, they have Gus Edwards, they have Justice Hill, they have OBJ, they have Bateman, they have,
Zay.
Flowers, who are all good enough out there on the outside to win at some point. So Baltimore, I don't know how they take them down, truthfully.
I don't know either. Let's move over to the NFC. And this is the biggest controversy, and I guess I'll ask you about this. In Lions-Bucks, what do you think about Todd Bowles' decision not to take that timeout after the 3rd knee and force them to kick the field goal? Have you seen this? I don't
think it really matters that much.
Yeah,
I get it, but they kick the field goal. If they don't get it there, if you call the timeout, then it's 11 points, and you have, 20 seconds to score 2 times?
Well, that's not the issue. It's because everyone's saying it was Michael Badgley, and Michael Badgley is currently...
Okay, then say they don't make it, then a couple seconds rung off, then you have 15 seconds, you need a touchdown, no timeouts. You have to go, 70 yards?
Yeah. No. You would have gone about 55, because he would have been kicking from the 42.
I still don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, yes, I guess if you want the real answer, probably yes, you call the timeout. But again, I feel like even if Detroit didn't want to risk the missed field goal, they just punt. Huge hang time. I don't see any way that Tampa Bay wins that game, even if he does take the timeouts. Seriously. I don't either. I mean, barring a crazy miracle, like a literal Minnesota miracle, then they weren't going to win. That's why I don't think it's that big of a deal. A lot of people are dogging on Todd Bowles about it. No, I think Todd Bowles doesn't deserve that much ire for it, really. I mean, I think Tampa Bay exceeded expectations wildly this season. I have to have a feeling he had a large part in that in terms of his coaching ability. So, no, I don't think he should be chastised in one way or another for it.
No, I don't either. Do you have any takeaways from Lions-Bucks outside of that?
I mean, again, as a former resident of the city of Detroit, I feel really good for that fan base. I think they played a great game. I think it was a quintessential Detroit performance. I'm about to sneeze.
I mean, it was huge for Detroit. I mean, Jared Goff.
I think it's the biggest way. Yeah, I think it's the only way to say it. It was huge for Detroit. I think I forget their GM's name.
Brad Holmes.
Brad Holmes is absolutely knocked out of the park like the last couple years drafting. They have hit every single time in multiple rounds to build the core that is extremely lethal. I mean, he deserves a ton of credit. Dan Campbell deserves a ton of credit for building a culture in a very short time and what seems like a continually sustainable culture. We talked about this last week. I just think if you're Detroit, you have to be really happy not only with how the season has gone. You guys still have a shot. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very excited. David Montgomery, Gibbs, lethal running back core. But the person I think actually deserves the most flowers in that Detroit organization isn't Dan Campbell. I think it's got to be Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, what he's been able to do with Jared Goff is crazy. It's honestly insane.
No, I think everything. I mean, yeah, Goff, you knew you could get him to a Super Bowl regardless because he's been to a Super Bowl before if you give him enough talent. I think the biggest thing, too, truthfully, if like from the Lions personnel standpoint, like Jared Goff's one of the best, I think, if not the best passer EPA rating guy when he's in a clean pocket. He was in a clean pocket all game against Tampa Bay.
Do you also know where he leads in EPA? Off of play action. He's the best play action passer in the league.
So that's exactly what Detroit does extremely well. That shows you what can happen when you have a really good offensive line, which, I mean, with guys like Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, Decker, you have a load of guys back there who are just glass eaters, as some would say. So,
I mean, they're a good team. They're a good franchise. I'm just happy for Detroit, and I'll tell you now, my bold prediction is I think they beat San Francisco next week.
I would love to see it. I mean, it would obviously be a great moment for the city. I think it would just be. I mean, again, I'm wanting Detroit to win this game. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it against the 49ers. They match up sort of well, though, because they have a great offensive line that can protect Goff, and the weaknesses for San Francisco is in the secondary. So if you can protect and run the football, which is kind of the recipe you've seen for teams that have been able to beat the 49ers this season, is you have to run the ball, you have to be successful in play action, and you have to probably get ahead because then that forces them to turn Purdy loose, which then in turn gives you more opportunities for takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, though, that is Detroit's kryptonite is their secondary is so bad.
No, it's not great.
And so it's really going to be, I think this whole game comes down to, this is going to be the mark of how good is Brock Purdy actually. At some point, Purdy's going to have to throw this ball against the secondary because that's where the weakness is.
Yep.
And without Deebo Samuel, if Deebo actually doesn't play, I don't know how the injury report is looking. It's going to get a whole lot harder.
I mean, again, if this is the Joe Montana that the Athletic claims that he is, it shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be an issue.
On that,
we'll see.
I just want to stamp this right now, and we can move into the San Francisco game. I don't want people to just think I'm some kind of Purdy hater that, like everyone else, I don't like Purdy. I think he's fine quarterback. Again, somebody asked me what is he going to be? I think he's going to have like a Kirk Cousins type career. I think he's always going to be like right outside the top 10, right around the top 10. He'll always be good, but probably not great.
Yeah.
You'll always question, hey, maybe we should like replace him, but he's too good not to really replace. But that win did not prove anything to me about that he can come back in games.
Not at all.
It didn't prove anything.
I think whatever you saw actually was just, I mean, I think he made one great throw all night, really, in my mind. Everything else was just get it in short distance to my playmakers, let them operate in space, hand the ball to McCaffrey. He'll run it in for 2 key touchdowns when you need it. Not so you actually have to throw it there, Brock. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, again, Brock is a great game manager. Dude can
manage
that
either.
There's nothing wrong with that. Again, that's what I said. He's going to have like a Kirk Cousins type career. He's going to be like a top 10 to 12 guy, probably a little bit better than Derek Carr, but like around there.
Yeah.
And Derek had good years in Oakland. I don't want to take away from Derek Carr's career. Just because he was bad in New Orleans doesn't mean that.
No, I think, again, there's nothing wrong with being a game manager.
No.
It's just, I think and I think a lot of people who understand the game well have the issue is that for some reason, fans in San Francisco maybe some of the media, and maybe really it is just the San Francisco section of people or people who concentrate too much on wins and losses, is that, again, I think if you switch Brock out and put him in a situation of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of it, like a Justin Herbert.
No,
Like, it's not
Bryce Young. Put him in
Bryce Young,
Carolina.
exactly. It's a lot of the circumstance that he's in right now. And he's doing his job really well in what he's being asked to do.
Yeah.
But he's not someone who I sit there and watch and I'm like, shit, we got to play Brock this week, because that's not the case at all.
Again, he's totally serviceable. And if he takes San Francisco to the Super Bowl, great. If he wins a Super Bowl, great. I'd love to be proven wrong. It's just, there's nothing he does where I sit there and I'm like,
No.
whoa.
Again, I think when we think about top quarterbacks, at least in my mind at this point in the NFL, and people have tried to shove Brock into this conversation, is a guy like Patrick, a guy like Lamar, a guy like Burrow, a guy like Herbert, a guy like Allen. He doesn't belong.
Stroud.
I mean, Stroud. He doesn't belong. Stafford. He does not belong anywhere near that conversation. And that's not an indictment that he's very bad. It's just reality is that those guys are elite. And Brock is an elite game manager, but he's not an elite quarterback.
I totally agree. And the other thing about it is, like, it's kind of the same issue we have with Tua. Like,
yeah,
Tua is a fine quarterback in a vacuum. It's just the issue is everyone tries to pump him up like he belongs in the top 5 conversation.
Yeah.
If we just acknowledge that Tua is a top 10 to 15 quarterback, I don't think anyone would have that many issues with it.
No.
Dude makes good plays every once in a while. It's just the issue that they try to pump him up into this elite category of, like, where he's a generational player.
No, it's an overinflation and overvaluing of wins. Because, again, the 49ers at its base value as a roster construct, I think, is probably the most talented in the NFL.
Yeah,
I think skill position wise, like, I think the Bengals are great. But Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings is your number 3.
Yeah.
A great offensive line. Not just a good one, a great offensive line. A great defensive line. You have all pros all over the field. I can't have someone tell me or convince me in any way that Brock is a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that even changes if he wins the Super Bowl. Because, by the way, guys like Trent Dilfer have won a Super Bowl. That doesn't make him great. If you want to view it as that, that's because you value wins too much as a quarterback stat.
And I will say, like, the other thing about Brock, and this is where, like, sometimes, like, nerd stats become nerd stats. Like, don't try to tell me about Brock Purdy's EPA per play. EPA per play just measures how many points you're expected to get. When you dump a screen off to Debo and he runs it like 40 yards.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you're going to have a high EPA.
Yeah.
Stupid Jimmy G had the highest EPA per play 3 seasons in a row.
It's just the Shanahan system. It's just what he creates for these quarterbacks. It's incredibly quarterback friendly. We know this.
Yeah.
I think there's...
I mean, it's an easy trap to fall into. And I think the quarterback that a lot of people are also falling in that trap of is Jordan Love. Jordan Love played well, made some incredible throws, but man, did he just get overhyped in like 3 weeks of like all of a sudden.
I mean, now you have people sitting there saying, you have the graphics popping up like, oh, who would you take first in that 2020 draft? The answer, I mean, again, to me, stays the same. The 1 and 2 are still Burrow and Herbert. There is not a conversation to be had, and I don't think there should be at any point moving forward unless anything dramatically changes. I don't know if people have just forgotten because they were both hurt, like what they do or how important they are to their respective teams. But just because Love had a great end of the season doesn't mean he automatically becomes pole vaulted into a top 5 conversation with guys who have done it for multiple years.
Yeah, I mean, the craziest graphic about the whole Jordan Love thing is people are already like, I mean, everyone wanted to announce this, but they're like, man, they really got 3 Hall of Famers in a row. Like, we're already saying he's Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, I think I'm high on Love, but I just don't think there's any reasonable person that can sit out there and say like, oh, you know what? I might take him over Burrow. Really? Why? I might take him over Herbert. Really? Why? There's nothing you can come up with. There's really
No.
nothing.
I mean, besides the only thing you can say over Herbert is he won a playoff game. But you have to acknowledge Matt LaFleur.
It's one of the best offensive play callers in the NFL.
He's like one of the greatest offensive. Again, that's why I kind of brought it up, because he's in the Shanahan scheme.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Love is being propped up from the Shanahan, except the thing is Jordan Love just makes a lot better throws and has a lot less talent.
Look, I
than
think there's
Brock
a lot
Purdy.
to like with what you saw on Love in that playoff game. I think there's been a lot to like about Love for the last half of the season. But again, let's not act like it wasn't anything more than just an 8-game stretch at this point, at best. Pump the brakes a little bit. Check into reality again. I don't know. And if he's such this great quarterback, why did he make that horrific off your back
Oh
foot
my God.
across your body? That was scenes of like 2010 Brett Favre against the Saints in the NFC Championship game.
That
You can't
thing
make
was
that throw.
I mean, that was just like, there's no way you slice it. Like
No.
that is legitimately one of the worst throws just in general
No.
I have seen in an NFL game.
No, I mean, again, that was just, again, that's the quarterback that's starting in his first year. This is his first year starting. I know he's a fourth-year guy, but this is his first real year starting. And everything looked really good in the second half. But you can't sit here and make statements off of 8 games. I'm not taking him of guys like Herbert or Burrow. Or, I mean, we could go on several guys, but just not yet. I can give me another year of it, and we can have a different conversation about where he belongs. But right now, don't talk about top 5. You can talk about top 10, but don't talk about top 5, and don't throw him into names he doesn't belong with right now.
Are you making him the highest paid quarterback in the league?
No, God, no. He's not a guy that resets the market. You certainly should. You can't do that off of half of a season.
I agree, but the Packers have already come out that they're going to try their best and that they want to reset the market.
Well, then I'm glad that my quarterback's already signed in. I mean, good God.
To me, I would not touch that. Would you reset it with Dak? I mean, that's the other thing. As Dallas is talking about resetting it with Dak.
I don't know. But again, apparently some people out there think Dak is better than guys like Burrow at this point again. And I'm just like, where do we go with this stuff, man? It's just unbelievably recent.
Mean, did you see that Colin Cowherd? We can go back on this, but that Colin Cowherd graphic before the playoffs or it was before the last round where he ranked at 8 quarterbacks and he had Patrick Mahomes at 7.
That's stupid. I mean, again, look, Colin's job is to get people to watch. So I'm sure there was some sort of factor into it, but that's silly. That's dumb. I don't know what he was basing it off. I didn't watch the segment, but
no, I
that's
just
a dumb thing to come out there and say.
Yeah.
Not great.
Well, this has been From the Backseat. I hope you enjoy. How about this? Right before we go. So we both said the Ravens. Who do you think's going? Do you think it's the 49ers or do you think it's
Gosh, as much as I would really love for it to be Detroit, and I can see a way where they go ahead and pull it out. I just don't think that they can beat San Francisco this time around. I think the shortcomings in the secondary are the thing that undoes them. That's what kind of ends up hurting. I think they're able to get some access with the play action. And the thing is, too, to beat San Francisco, you have to get out to a lead. And I don't know how well Goff in the Detroit offense is going to be able to do that right away. You have to jump out quick.
Yeah.
Every team that's beaten them this season, they jumped out quick, and they made an impact, and they made Brock play from behind. I sort of doubt, because to do that, you have to get stops on defense, obviously, once you score. So even if Detroit scores, I have a hard time seeing, all right, how are they going to slow them down right away? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like San Francisco pulls it out. You get San Francisco versus Baltimore in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
I keep it short and simple.
Nah, I'm picking the Lions, though. Let's go Detroit.
I would love to see it. I mean, look, I would love it to be the Motor City Kitties. What are you kidding me? That'd be awesome. Be a little bit of variation. I feel like as long as it's not 49ers in Kansas City again.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that rematch because then it's going to be Patrick again. They're going to Kansas City.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I want to see Lamar.
Yeah, I would. Again, it's counterintuitive as a Bengals fan to root for your divisional opponent. But Lamar is also the rare exception of a player who I genuinely really, really like, who just happens to be on a team I really, really hate.
The other thing about Lamar is like so many people just like hate him for no reason.
Yeah.
And so I I want to see him succeed because so many people have made the most boneheaded takes about Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson.
I mean, again, I think the one thing that'll always sit with me for a long time, and I think a lot of teams will think about this too, because he's going to win another MVP, might win a Super Bowl this year, is that he was a free agent. Anyone could sign him.
Yeah.
Miami could have signed him. Atlanta could have signed him. Every team in the NFL who needed a quarterback could have signed him. And they took a look at him and for some reason said, nope, we're good. I
No.
think a lot of teams are going to have to live with that for a long time. They already should have been living with it for a long time prior to the season that he had, but ridiculous that actually happened. That he was a unrestricted free agent and you didn't offer him anything.
No. Oh, but before we go, we have to give a round of applause. Brian Callahan, head coach of the
yes,
Tennessee Titans.
Brian Callahan. Good for you, man. Go get you some in Tennessee, man. Great. I think for Bengals fans, I don't know. People for some reason think Brian Callahan was good. I think he's been a very good coordinator. Do I think he's one of the top 5? No, probably not. But he's a guy that certainly contributed a ton to the huge turnaround the Bengals had in the last couple seasons. Major part of it, huge part of the offensive scheme, certainly. I'm excited. I'm guessing now at this point, we're going to make sure Dan Pritchard is the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati. This will be his first time OC job. But I'm really excited for him because obviously he helped Burrow progress a lot himself. He involved himself a lot in the offense. And he helped Jake Browning look really pretty solid last season. And if he's able to do that with Browning and kind of be involved in that extent, I'm excited to see what he's going to be in a more expanded role as the offensive coordinator. So, but good for Brian Callahan. Great for you, man. He's probably also going to poach his dad from the Browns staff. He's a Browns offensive line coach. Probably make his dad the offensive coordinator over there in Tennessee.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the reason and this is what I brought up to you, like, great for Brian Callahan.
Isn't an upgrade over Vrabel, though?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is it really like, why did they fire? Like, to me, you only fire Vrabel if you literally think you're going to get one of these like legacy head coaches.
I think so. Yeah, but I think it's to the point that maybe Cole sort of brought. I think there was a disconnect on the GM and ownership group to Vrabel. That has to be the reason.
I also wonder if, to a certain extent, Vrabel wanted out because Vrabel had been visibly basically upset with the Tennessee organization since they traded A.J. Brown.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not be? They traded away the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Outside of Darren Simmons, but yeah.
I mean, we'll see if Vrabel gets a job. I'm actually a little concerned he might not. He might not pull out of the cycle.
That would be crazy if he didn't, because his track record is more. Again, Tennessee Titans had a Super Bowl window at some point because of Mike Vrabel. Think about that.
I do not understand. If you're one of these if you're one of these fringe playoff teams, the one I will not understand is the Dallas Cowboys. How do you?
Why you don't make the change?
Yeah, like, why keep Mike McCarthy?
Because maybe then it becomes a conversation even further, so that if, and this is a dumb thought, but if you lose again next year, you can blame it on him one more time before you have to have the conversation about the guy that wears number 4, Dak.
Maybe, or about the owner.
Well, the owner is a piece of shit, so let's.
I mean, yeah, but there's one reoccurring thing. I went through, and maybe we should do this next week. I went through the Dallas head coaching tree, and it's crazy. You know, they've had 7 head coaches in their franchise's history. Do you know how many of them have had a losing record?
They had some great years, obviously, with Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to say like 3 of the 7.
1.
Well,
only 1.
You know, it's even crazier. Someone pointed this out. I think I sent this to you. The Detroit Lions have a more recent NFC Championship appearance this century than the Cowboys, and the Lions had an 0-16 season. Yeah. That's pretty wild to think. That, I don't know, just because I think I grew up, and I think a lot of people did, the Cowboys were this dynasty. Like, they were the team for a long time. It was them in Pittsburgh. And they haven't done shit in a long time now. They're just a bunch of what ifs at best. Like, what if they said Dez caught it? Or what if Dak didn't slide in bounds? Like, that's their best scenarios. That's what they have to hold on to these days. It was actually very funny. This is the last thing I'll leave on. it's funny to watch when a team like Dallas totally implodes on itself in the playoffs, and you can go back and watch people who are live streaming themselves watching the game and watch how sad that they get fast. That's enjoyable. Maybe that's mean of me to say, but I kind of like that. I found a couple of Cowboys fans, grown men in tears.
I mean, the Cowboys are like ultimate purgatory because like
Yeah.
their team is never like bad enough. Like, I don't think a Dallas fan really understands like the hype for having a top pick in the draft. Like, they've never gotten that experience of a bad
No.
franchise.
Mm-mm.
Like, at least that's something to look forward to. Like, as a Chargers fan, like, oh, we have the 5th pick. Like, we're gonna get a premium player.
Again, I think Dallas has had enough success as a franchise at this point that they need to have some bad times. Like Patriots fans, you had a really good run there. You need a stretch of shittiness. It keeps everything in perspective.
Yeah, it keeps everything in perspective. And New England's gonna get their quarterback probably this year. They're gonna address it in this year's draft and get Bo Nix with the 3rd overall pick.
Oh, sweet Bo Nix.
Sweet Bo Nix. Well, this has been From the Backseat. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias and make sure if you are listening to give us 5 stars and share the podcast. Again, this has been From the Backseat. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Have a great one, folks. Enjoy it.